Greetings, humanoids of the internets! My name is Bob, and this is episode 132 of Journey into Space! Now, since the update, my spacecraft, the Seagull, has disappeared. So, so that kind of leaves them in a bit of a fix. Yeah, I wasn't expecting the update to actually make their spacecraft go away. Yeah. That's unfortunate. Let's see. Oh, this one's the mothership is still there. But unfortunately their lunar lander is not. In the real Apollo space mission, Apollo 11 space mission, here Bob is playing the role of Michael Collins. There was some concern on his part as to whether he would have to go back alone, because it's possible that that Buzz and Neil wouldn't be able to get off the surface again, which unfortunately is the case here. For whatever reason, their spacecraft has gone away. I hope those mod parts are not gone. I would like to be able to use those mod parts again, but oh well. Yeah, so spacecraft that was right here, not here anymore. So I guess I won't be able to recreate the return of these intrepid voyagers. Which makes me wonder what I'm doing with this episode. Let me find out. Okay, I don't know why the lander disappeared, since all the parts appear to be accepted just fine in this version. So I have no idea why the lander just disappeared. We have another issue confronting us, which is it's about to be nighttime on the moon. Just that little bit. And so I'm probably going to be having to do a landing at dark, at night, at dark. I'm going to have to do a landing at dark, no, at night. And I'm not going to try to get orbit first. I'm just going to bring their placement lander straight on in. So yeah. But this is one aspect of the Apollo mission that I didn't have to replicate before, which was how do you get to just the right place? I mean, when I landed the guys, it didn't matter that much where I landed them. In the Apollo missions, they had a fairly set, I mean, within a I don't know how much margin for error they allowed, but a certain they were supposed to be getting within a mile at least of their target, and in some cases, like Apollo 12, they got very close to exactly where they wanted to go with almost amazing, really, accuracy. There probably were other Apollo missions where they got that kind of accuracy as well, but with Apollo 12, they were actually trying to land near the Surveyor lander, and so obviously they couldn't fudge that too much. And in this case, in the case of Apollo 12, they landed almost exactly where they needed to be, right on the edge of a crater where the Surveyor lander landed. So let's, with no further ado, let's go ahead and try to get a lander to these guys. Okay, as you can see, there was a bit of a failure with the base stage down here. I managed to get it to land on the ascent stage. Yeah. So I guess we're gonna go ahead and just try to get these guys in here and try to get them back into space. Obviously, there's a little bit less fuel on the ascent stage than I actually originally intended. we're just going to go with that, I think. Okay, even though we're not doing a science mission, I'm going to go ahead and have Bill or whoever. Okay, wait. Okay, you have Jebediah take a service sample because that's science-y. And then got a short hike to the backup lander, and we'll try to go home. This is not something that happened on the Apollo mission, but then their lander didn't suddenly mysteriously disappear either. So yeah, we make do the best we can. I think I know what happened with the lander, with the base stage, which is sometimes it won't actually when you do something from a if you save a assembly and then copy it over, it doesn't necessarily do the fuel lines correctly. And in the case of the descent stage, it without fuel lines, it was not able to function, as it only had a little bit of fuel directly connected to it and a whole lot of fuel that was connected to it by fuel lines. So that's why my my descent stage gave out after a few puffs of gas. But although this is not historically accurate for the Apollo mission, it is, however, going to make things more interesting for us. So we're okay with that. Don't tilt this over, please, Jebediah. It's precarious enough as it is. All right, how about your jetpack up there? Grab, please. Grab a hold of the spacecraft, please. Thank you. Yeah, could be interesting. All right, let's go ahead and get Bill over. It is also worthy of note that the Apollo 11 astronauts, and in fact none of the Apollo astronauts, had jetpacks, although there were plans for rocket-powered propulsion on the surface, but those plans never came to fruition. But they definitely had no jetpacks, and in 1/8 gravity, a normal like 0G EVA jet backpack wouldn't have worked. They would have needed some sort of land speeder or something, which they could have absolutely done. Although the technology at the time, as far as sensor technology, was not quite what you would like, because sorry, on the moon, because of the difficulty in judging perspective, flying a vehicle by the seat of your pants doesn't work quite as well. So they would have had to have had some sort of radar on it, something fairly accurate sensor systems to judge where things were, which they totally probably could have done. It's just they never got around to that, unfortunately. Which it would have been cool if they had like a little rocket-powered excursion vehicle. They could travel around the surface on rocket power. Problem is they were always, even with the rover, they're always thinking that if shit broke down, they would need to walk back, and they could only go as far as they could walk back from. So. Yep. Come on, get in there. You got down. I know you could possibly get in. Get in, please. Okay, so we have Jebediah in there, Bill in there. Okay. Now we have to wait for the ship to come around. And I was hoping to use some of the leftover propellant in the lander to fuel the service module. I doubt very much that we're going to have the opportunity to do that. In fact, it's not at all certain that we're actually going to survive. Okay. Here we go, guys. Good luck. $90, right. Yeah, this could be problematic. I'm not sure that the ascent stage has enough fuel to get me there. What I'm probably going to do is I'm going to go ahead and establish a low orbit and get Bob and the command module to go down lower and pick them up. Because this way, at least I know that they will get to orbit, and so hopefully survive. In fact, hopefully that is the objective, to survive. We have just a piddling amount of fuel. Yeah. In fact, we may have to get these guys out and get them into orbit by jetpack. We also do have monopropellant, though, so. Very questionable that this ship is getting into orbit. Go ahead and turn on the monopropellant. Go ahead and we'll use the monopropellant to try to get us into orbit. This is not a situation that the Apollo astronauts had to face. Fortunately, it is a very small spacecraft. Come on, give me a periapsis. Okay. Okay, we'll use the last bit of our fuel. And then the command module has to come down and pick them up. And the command module doesn't actually have a superabundance of fuel either. Actually, I should probably try to change orbit on the lander with monopropellant insofar as that's possible. Because really, command module doesn't have a whole lot of fuel left. Okay, fuel's gone. We have achieved orbit. There's no decoupler. There is no. Let me see if I can raise the orbit of this thing with the monopropellant alone. Okay, I think we may wind up having a rendezvous on our hands. Let's go ahead and just for grins, to celebrate the fact that they're still alive, let's go ahead and have Jebediah do an EVA and enjoy the sights. Yeah, with a spacecraft this small, using the monopropellant did very, very well. And fortunately, the ascent stage doesn't rely on any tubing to make it work, which is a good thing. All right, well, we'll get him back in the vehicle after his little jaunt here, admiring his little spacecraft. And we'll see if we can get these guys back home. That would be good. Okay, my game crashed. Let's see if we can make it work this time. Trying to get these guys to line up, which is going to take a little bit. In a real mission, you'd have some concerns about how much time they're spending out there in space. But in this case, well, one, the whole mission is up to the point where I started time compressing. It's only taken a day, and then also they don't breathe. Kerbals don't breathe. Okay. Excuse me. Don't crash, please. Thank you. Appreciate you're not crashing. Okay. What we'll do is we will raise our periapsis a little bit. Okay. Or not. I'm being fairly generous with the monopropellant here, but I do have some monopropellant left on the command point module, so okay. Let me work this out. Okay, here we go. Hook it up to the mothership. Let's go ahead and change to chase view. Let's go ahead and put on fine controls. Okay. Let's get maneuvered over. And go forward. And a little bit down. Forward. Whoop, whoa, whoop, 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 whoop. I hope that the mothership has no issues relating to the change of versions. Okay. All right. Let's get these boys over on the ship. Yeah, we should have plenty enough fuel to get home. No worries. Okay, let's get you on board the spacecraft there, Jeb. Excuse me. People often comment on my coughing and clearing my throat. Well, that comes from 30 years of smoking. And I'm not going to stop recording every time I do that. So just deal. Okay. Okay. I'm glad we can have this little chat. By the way, if you are ever thinking about taking up smoking, don't. Don't do it. I know many of you out there are going, gosh, I should take up smoking. Do not do it. Okay, goodbye, Seagull. You've been a good ship. Aside from the aside from the descent module issues that the replacement lander had. Aside from that, you've been a good ship, and we will miss you. All right, let's go ahead and Actually, for the I can go ahead and back this out because I got on this one I got a robotic control module. I'll just go ahead and back that out. Make sure it's free of the area when we start to go do our thing. Okay, well, we'll start getting home. Okay, the Apollo spacecraft did a direct descent to splashdown from the moon. In other words, they didn't go into Earth orbit first. They just went straight from the moon to splashdown, which, if you think about it, the velocities of reentry in that case, it must have been a real rough ride. And the command module wasn't designed like the Soyuz reentry capsule for aerodynamic lift. In other words, a Soyuz module can kind of use the lift of the from the bottom surface. The spacecrafts are shaped differently, and the Soyuz and I think the Dragon as well can use aerodynamic lift to soften the blow. But in this case, for the Apollo spacecraft, it was direct from the moon to the atmosphere. So that must have been one hell of a rough ride, I would imagine. Probably something on the order of 9 Gs, which probably for a jet pilot wasn't that unexpected. I mean, certainly in a centrifuge they would have pulled that much, but it would have definitely been a rough ride, not user friendly. So all right, well, let's go ahead and zoom on in here. In our case, which wasn't the case with the Apollo module, we're going to use the we're going to keep a hold of our service module to kind of change where it is that we're splashing down. In this case, we're hitting land, which I'd rather just for the sake of historical accuracy to splash down in the ocean. So let's go ahead and aim for a splashdown if we can. Excuse me. Where's my blue pointer? Here it is. One thing where the Apollo astronauts had it easier than the Soyuz is the Soyuz lands on land, which is a pretty rough landing, really, compared to the water. And now, obviously, at high speeds, being land or water doesn't make that much difference. I mean, at high enough speed, you're going to splat either way. But I understand that the landing process in the Soyuz is a bit tooth jarring. So that's one aspect in which the Apollo astronauts splashing down in water had it a little bit better. We're going to go ahead and steer north in hopes of getting to the water with any chance. Obviously, the Apollo spacecraft did not re-enter firing its thrusters, and with the service module engine going, that did not happen. Okay, goodbye, service module. I appreciate you. That looks like we're going to land on land anyway. Oh well, we're close to the water. Close to the mountains, too. Okay, Bill, Bob, and Jebediah, you're about to Return to Earth to a hero's welcome. I hope you're prepared for all the adulation that all the screaming fans on Kerbin will be sending your way for having done the first historic Mun landing. Yeah, I didn't quite make the water. Oh well. Okay, parachutes, please work. All right. Okay, we're landing on a bit of a slope. I hope that's not going to be a problem. I understand that the astronauts did train for scenarios which they didn't quite make where they were aiming for. All right, success. Bill, Bob, and Jebediah. First men on the Mun. That's some very interesting looking rock formations. Didn't quite land where we wanted to get to, but that's okay. It's a lovely spot, and I'm sure it's good to be back on terra firma. And that's all for this episode. And until next time, hasta la vista. Adios.